The RPG element, like storytelling in that way, I'm fairly new to it still, but I love it, and I'm very curious to see how it has affected her as a storyteller. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Star Wars Explained Weekly Q&A. I'm Alex.
I'm Molly.
And we've got some Acolyte stuff to talk about, some Star Wars news to catch up on. But before we do that, what did we get up to this past week?
We went to a sports game.
We did.
I don't know why I said it like that.
I mean, yeah, we've been to sports before.
Yeah, it's exciting for me because we hardly ever do that. And I don't know, I like going to the Atlanta United games a lot, and we got to do some tailgating for this one, which was extra fun.
Yeah, this was only our second time seeing a United game, but I love soccer, and so we should go more and support our home team.
Yeah, we bought jerseys and they were not cheap.
Yeah, that was the first time we went. You were like, we should get jerseys, and I was like, fine, but then I was like, if we get jerseys, that'll make me want to go more and use them. But yeah, tailgating was fun. Went and met up with a friend who's also a big Star Wars fan. She introduced us to someone else who's a Star Wars fan and like a Star Wars maker, but also is into the High Republic, and she screamed buckets of blood at us. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, the game was cool. Mother's Day was on Sunday. Went and hung out with your mom. We saw my mom on Friday, so we did Mother's Day stuff for her too.
My mom was very excited to hear that we were officially going to go to Japan.
Yeah,
she just thinks that that's the coolest thing ever.
My parents have been sending us like different itineraries and articals and stuff.
Yeah,
they're also excited.
All from Instagram reels.
Yeah, yeah. My dad got Instagram and now sends me a bunch of reels every day.
I got I think it was from your mom, I got a little Grogu cocktail reel, and I was like, okay.
Like the margarita with the ears or one of those kinds of things?
Yeah. My mom doesn't do social media, thank goodness.
My parents like just do Instagram. They just started to figure it out.
She texted me yesterday, I forgot to tell you this. She texted me the letter P.
Your mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom. She just got an iPhone like in the past year or so.
Yeah, it's quite the jump up from the jitterbug.
Yeah. Speaking of cocktails, the other YouTube channel that I have been a part of is sadly ending, but we are having our last big Going Out with a Bang happy hour episode today, Saturday, at 9 p.m. Eastern. So if you feel like hanging out with us and having a couple drinks, it'll be a fun one, and we'll probably have a lot of fun guests, so go check that out. It's at a certain point of view.
I'll probably stop by, have a couple drinks, get a little crazy.
Alex Damon will stop by.
I come by on most of the happy hours.
Our little old happy hour stream.
I'm on most of the happy hours.
Wow.
Don't act like it's a big deal.
It's not a big deal to me. It's a big deal to other people. I see you every day.
I know. I'm boring.
Not when you have a couple drinks.
What am I? I'm not boring then?
What?
We also usually have a couple drinks while we build our Lego sets on our Lego live streams, which if you haven't been watching those, they're back. We've been building the UCS TIE Interceptor. When this comes out, it'll be our second session will have happened. I'm going to estimate that we'll be like a quarter or a third of the way through the set. It's like 22 bags, but all the bags are tiny. Mm-hmm. I'm used to building these massive Star Destroyer UCS sets, and you open a bag and it's like, well, this is what I'm doing for the next hour and a half. But the TIE Interceptor bags are like, I can knock a bag out in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, the Interceptor is all wing.
It really is. I'm almost done with the cockpit, and by the time of recording this, it's only been one building session. And we had a ton of technical difficulties that slowed us down, so...
Yeah, if you tuned in...
a great endorsement for our live streams that go flawlessly every time.
If you tuned in to our big return and saw how many problems we were having, hopefully our next one is going to be tonight, so because we're filming this on Thursday.
The second session went way smoother.
Yeah, the second session was great. No problems.
I also wanted to mention that the Phantom Menace FAQ video is coming out on Monday. I'm trying to do a better job of just like promoting our own stuff, but I've been having a lot of fun working on those frequently asked questions videos, and the Phantom Menace's actual 25th anniversary is on Sunday the 19th. The video is going to come out a day after on the 20th, but still, I felt like it was a good way to celebrate. I didn't even plan that. It just worked out. So I'm really excited for this one.
I thought you did plan that.
Nope. I mean, once I saw that it was possible, I was like, oh, good, yeah. But when we started uploading them, and I was like, we'll do one a month. And then it just worked out that the Phantom Menace would be in May.
Yeah. Something else we're doing on that Sunday, the 19th, one of our friends, Zach Burkett, won Star Wars trivia last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We weren't at this one, but he won like 4 tickets to go see the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra go and play all of like the John Williams music. So we're going to go with him to that.
We went and saw that years and years, I mean, like 5 or 6 years ago, and it was great. So I'm excited to go do that again.
It's cool. It's like this big outdoor amphitheater. So we'll bring like a little picnic blanket. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, that'll be fun. But yeah, the Phantom Menace FAQ is coming out. I think this one has maybe some of the most fun questions in them, just because it's got a lot of wild parts in it. The pod race, I spent a lot of time answering questions about the pod race, and it was fun. I also wanted to give a shout out to David Eckleberry, who joined our Jedi Council on our Patreon, which is just insane support. So thank you so much, David. With all that said, I think it's time to get into some Acolyte talk.
Let's talk Star Wars.
You ready for the Acolyte?
That's what we do.
We've been talking Star Wars still. We try to talk about our weekend, and we still always relate it back to Star Wars. But I wanted to open things up with the Acolyte featurette that came out a few days ago. By the time this video comes out, I think it came out yesterday as we're recording it. But it was all about Soul and Lee Jung-jae, who everyone in the cast calls him JJ, which I thought was fun. But did you watch that?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
Well, I saw someone posted on Twitter. I think it was, I don't remember who it was, but I think it said it was an Australian TV spot and it didn't air anywhere else but there.
I couldn't find it anywhere else. I've only seen it on Twitter.
Yeah. So that is interesting.
Yeah. But it had a lot of fun stuff in it, a lot of different footage. There was a line with Soul, I think obviously talking to the red lightsaber wielding person, and he says, "You have a Jedi weapon, but you are no Jedi." And I assume that precedes the line, "What are you?" from the trailer. So I like that, the idea that Soul might not even know what a Sith is, which actually does line up with some stuff in the Clone Wars. I mean, I'm sure Soul knows what a Sith is.
I think he knows what a Sith is, but maybe he's trying to get this person to admit to it out loud.
I think he might be like in denial that it's a Sith. Just, you know, the old Ki-Adi-Mundi, like, they've been extinct. We wiped them all out. And I know that for sure. So what are you? Because you're not a Sith, like, in his mind. So I to be clear, I think he knows what a Sith is. But there's a part in the Clone Wars when just a regular old citizen sees Maul and Savage Opress, and I think he's describing him to the Jedi later, and he's like, yeah, he had one of your laser swords. Like, he didn't know what a Sith was. He thought that they were just like rogue Jedi or something. So that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Yeah.
It's almost like no one wants to say the S word in hopes that that's not what this is.
Right. And I just think it's going to be a lot of denial on the Jedi's part. But another thing that popped out to me was when he is fighting May, and or who we assume to be May. And so
I love this theory so much. I've been wanting to talk about it for a while now.
So we're going to talk about a theory that's been going around. A lot of people have this thought, including us, that May is a twin, and he's fighting, quote unquote, May, and he asks, "Who trained you?" And to me, I'm like, you trained her. You said you did in one of the trailers. So I do think that May, Amanda Stenberg's character, is a twin.
Yeah. Just to play devil's advocate, I did just think about this. Like, he could be meaning, like, who trained you in the dark arts? Not to bring Harry Potter into this, but, like, who trained you to be so bad?
Who did this to you? Because I didn't do this to you. Who you been hanging out with?
Who influenced you?
I do think that's a fair read. But the way that I saw the scene was that he doesn't know who... He knows that it's not May.
Right.
The person that he trained.
Yeah, I really hope that this is true. I hope Amanda Sandberg is playing 2 different characters. And in some of the other trailer TV spots, we see them jump around in time a lot, and we're not really sure how many different time periods we're going to see. But it really seems like there is like the masked version of May, and then there's another version in like the ice caves that we see.
I think we've only seen that version one time in a TV spot.
Yeah. Which it's just really interesting. It could be her from a different time period, but it's like they're chasing her almost, or like trying to track her down. Her hair's a little bit different. It doesn't have the long pieces in the back. She's carrying Pip, the new little pocket droid, which is like super, super cute. So I really like the idea that she's playing 2 different characters, and it's going to be about like one went bad.
Right. I'm going to come right back to that ice scene, but also the big thing that people pointed out was like, she's on the poster twice.
She is. That seemed like very obvious to me that she was going to be playing 2 different characters, but because I even asked you, I was like, when has there been another time when one of the main characters has been on the poster twice? And I think you mentioned Marvel having Tony Stark and Iron Man, which makes sense. It's, his face is real different. But
it's not made of metal all the time.
But that's just because she's so big on the poster twice. I don't know. Like, that screams 2 different characters to me.
Yeah. I do think that they're not even really being subtle about this. I think that this is probably going to be a reveal in the early episodes. First, it's a 2-episode premiere, so I'm like, this could be the end of episode 1. We find out that May has a sister.
I could see it being the end of episode 2, just kind of like maybe the first 2 is going to feel like a 2-parter. Like right. Part 1, part 2.
That's either way. I think that they're going to try to get through that quote twist. I don't know if it's even going to be treated as a twist. It might not be.
Yeah.
It might just be like a twist from the marketing. I can't imagine what it's like to create a trailer for Star Wars fans, a mystery thriller trailer, like a whodunit, where people like me are going to go frame by frame and look at this stuff, and not even to try to figure out the plot, but just be like, hey, May looks different in this shot and in this shot. That's strange. And yeah, the ice shot from that TV spot, she looks different. Either the hair is a little different, right? She's carrying Pip, which I don't think we've seen Assassin May carrying Pip around.
Just those pointy knives.
And there's a big moment where she seems like she's trapped on a cliff, and she turns around and she just goes, I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. And so for the audience to be like, well, we saw you stab a man.
Yeah.
And then she's claiming she didn't do it. So I think that's going to be a moment where Soul catches up to his old Padawan, and she reveals that she has a twin, or she's like, it wasn't me, it was my sister, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they're probably going to team up and start working together, because the synopsis of the series has always been a former Padawan teams up with her master to solve murders.
Yeah. I'm just so excited by the idea of this. I remember a long time ago when I think Vanity Fair did an article about Amanda Sandberg, and she talked about Acolyte a little bit, and she just kind of skirted around it, but she mentioned that this was unlike any other part that she's ever played, and it was a lot of work, like a lot more work than she's used to doing. So just like some of the phrasing of that interview, I was like, this all points to her playing 2 different characters.
Yeah, and I also wanted to point out that in a recent interview, Leslie Headland talked about her favorite Clone Wars episode being The Wrong Jedi. And,
oh yeah, lots of people speculating about that.
Well, I was working on my like everything you need to know about the Acolyte video that'll come out in a couple weeks, but I wrote about that scene where her back is to a cliff, and I was like, this reminds me of The Fugitive, where someone's back is against a big drop off and they're trying to talk down their pursuer. And I said it's also like the episode The Wrong Jedi, which that scene was based off of The Fugitive. So having all of these through lines from mystery thrillers, it's super fun.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
On the inverse, do you think there is a chance that she's not playing twins at all?
Could be, because we know this just from the trailers and TV spots that we've seen. It jumps around so much in different points in time because people either have short hair, long hair, different outfits. So it could be like a jump back in time versus present day when she's like going after and killing Jedi. I don't know. Like, because she said I didn't do it, that makes me think that this is around the same time, but there's always a chance it could be a time jump.
It's rare that I go all in on a theory like this, and I do think that it's probably accurate, but I do wonder also if just the marketing has been misleading us the whole time to think that, look, it's obviously twins, and then we'll start the show and see that it's something completely different. Like I said, it's got to be really difficult to craft a trailer for Star Wars fans where you're trying to preserve a mystery and we're already trying to figure it out based off of minutes of footage.
Yeah, which I think they've done a great job so far at showing us just a little bit, just enough to be really intrigued and not kind of spelling it all out for us, you know?
Could you see like a Tyler Durden Fight Club situation where, or Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde?
Maybe. That would be crazy and something brand new for Star Wars, I think.
I was actually thinking, I think there was in the Myths and Fables book, or maybe it was Dark Legends, one of those in-universe legends stories. I believe there was something like an amulet that a Jedi got, and it was corrupting him, and it would just possess him in the middle of the night, and he would go out and like do a murder, and then come back and not remember it at all.
That's interesting, because someone posted a picture, I don't know where this was from, but it's a picture of May with like a necklace with something green and glowing around her neck. They said, is this her kyber crystal? And I was like, it kind of just looks like a vial of like liquid or something, but I don't know what that's going to be.
I haven't seen that. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, this is all just the fun stuff of theory crafting, and I really hope that if she is a twin, it's an early reveal, and if she's not, like I'll be on board with whatever wild thing they're gonna throw at us. But yeah, I'm already enjoying talking about this show so much and being like, who do I trust? Who do I not trust?
Yeah, there's so many different kinds of characters. And another thing Leslie Headland had said in regards to the Clone Wars was that she was heavily influenced by the idea of the Night Sisters. She said Night Sisters aren't going to be in this, but the idea of them influenced some stuff. So that made me think of the witches.
The Coven,
The Coven. I'm so excited for the potential of this story.
You always love witchy stuff, but yeah, I feel like the witches are going to be butting heads with the Jedi probably right away in that flashback scene. My main theory is that Assassin May is targeting the Jedi who were there when young Padawan May was taken. I feel like something bad is going to happen, and then those Jedi are going to become targets to be hunted down.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason why. I'm just going to call it Bad May and Good May. Why Bad May... It sounds like Padme. Padme went bad, so now she's Bad May. So stupid.
Good job.
There's got to be a reason why Bad May is killing these specific Jedi.
I think something happened.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far into speculation because it's kind of more fun to just go into it and see what happens. It's so easy for fans to get their hopes up for something specific, and then when it doesn't go that way, you don't want to be super disappointed.
Yeah, that definitely is something I'm trying to avoid. I don't want it to seem like if it's not a twin, I'm going to be upset. No, I won't. I will be actually kind of surprised and thrilled that they did that red herring thing and made me think that, no, it's something else. I would rather just enjoy the ride. It's going to be tough to talk about this show as much as we do. I don't want to figure it out, but I do want to speculate on it. It's a tough balancing act because I just want to be taken for a ride.
Yeah, I think it'll be similar to when we were talking about Andor. We were kind of worried that there's not a lot of connections to other stuff, and there's a few Easter eggs, but not really. Most of it was just really good writing and storytelling. So it might be similar to when we talked about Andor, which was a lot of fun. We got to really dig deep into the writing and the themes and what they're trying to say.
Oh, I definitely think we'll be able to do that. Andor didn't even have that much to speculate on because it wasn't a murder mystery.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to be constantly analyzing everyone. Kamir, you going to say more of the Sith code? Or Yord, what are you doing that's suspicious? I feel like I'm just going to be analyzing everyone too much. And I don't really want to figure out the mystery before the end. I would rather we get that big reveal and be like, oh my gosh, I never saw that coming.
Yeah.
Warmer, sunnier days are here. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your health goals in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes, so no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great-lasting meals. With our hectic schedule, even making a good lunch is difficult for me. Factor's 2-minute meals let you fuel up fast with restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door. Factor also offers breakfast options like pancakes, smoothies, and more. There's no prep and no mess. Factor meals are ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, cooking, or cleanup needed. Get as much or as little as you need by choosing your meals every week. Plus, you can pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. Factor is the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, premium options with no cooking required. Head to factormeals.com/StarWars50 and use code StarWars50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code StarWars50 at factormeals.com/StarWars50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active.
Going to keep talking about the Acolyte a little bit because Andy Duggan asks what our hopes for the Acolyte are in a more meta sense. What do we hope it will do for Star Wars storytelling in general? Not so much everything we just speculated on and talked about plot-wise, but I think you already brought it up, is that I really hope it's a lot like Andor, just that it's more separated from everything else that's come before. Andor had obviously strong connections to Rogue One or even Episode 3 with Mon Mothma and everything, but I'm just so excited for something that exists so far outside of the Skywalker saga. That's what I want this to do well, just so Disney or Lucasfilm or the powers that be in general feel comfortable going, oh, audiences will respond to this even if there's not a Skywalker? Great.
Yeah. It's so close to what we already know and love for Star Wars just because there's Jedi, there's lightsabers, there's maybe a Sith, So it's got all that going for it, but it is also so different. It's in a completely different time period that, aside from books and comics, we haven't really explored.
Definitely not in live action.
Yeah, and I just hope, with all the new storytelling elements, not just the Jedi stuff, but this Witch Coven and everyone else in the show that aren't Jedi, I'm just excited for the potential of where that stuff can go and what other stories we might see come to Star Wars about non-Jedi characters. I'm excited for the Jedi, of course, but the other stuff is interesting.
Yeah. I guess I'm looking at it mostly from an era's perspective of not having seen this in live action ever. It's always been video games and comics and books for the Old Republic era. High Republic obviously has a ton of books and comics, and then they got Young Jedi Adventures. So I just want to see Star Wars continuing to expand. And even as the High Republic publishing initiative ends next month, I would love it if they did something else similar to that for books and comics, but also if some live action show wanted to come in and say, hey, I've got an idea and it's set in this brand new era or the Old Republic or whatever, that maybe Disney will feel more comfortable saying, oh, well, the Acolyte worked, so yeah, that definitely has potential. Mm-hmm. And I think that the Dawn of the Jedi movie obviously has potential for that as well.
Yeah. Something else I'm excited about is just seeing more of the council and the council members and how they operate in a different time period. Mm-hmm. Because after I read the Living Force book, I really liked aspects of that book, especially just getting inside the heads of each of the council members and just seeing what they're thinking about, how they're reacting to different scenarios, because we didn't get much of that in the prequels. We got to see the council room and a couple members, in the movies, but there's so many people in there. You're like,
it's the old Jarl Poof joke.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a council now instead of just the three of you talking, which is just an acting thing. Mm-hmm. Like if the whole council talked, you'd have to pay all of the actors who spoke instead of just paying them as extras. And in a book, everyone gets to talk. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I that's a good point. I hope the show isn't just, if we see the council, it's Yoda and Vernestra Rowe, and they talk to each other, and Oppo Rensis is still just quietly sitting there. Speak up, Oppo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just excited to see that Star Wars is expanding in such a big way. Like, I'm never going to have a problem with them continuing to go to the Skywalker saga eras, as long as they balance it out with, we're also going to keep trying something new. Mm-hmm. And the High Republic books and comics worked so well for me because, like you said, it was familiar. It had everything that makes Star Wars, but it also felt fresh for Star Wars. So yeah. I hope that the Acolyte does that. And also, I always hope that it interests people in getting into Star Wars outside of the screen, whether it's books or comics or just... there's so many more Star Wars stories out there than just the live action stuff.
Yeah, and something else that is really prevalent in the trailer and TV spots is all the alien species. I'm excited to see just new species that we've never seen in live action before. Just a lot more alien species in this than some of the other live action shows. And another big main character that's a Wookiee. We'll get to know Kelnaka a little bit more, which is exciting.
Yeah, I think our first live action Jedi Wookiee.
Yeah. I wonder what his lightsaber is going to look like.
I hope it's kind of like Bur-Yaga's big old broadsword. Yeah. Charlie the Unicorn 5383 asks if we will see Korriban / Moraband in the Acolyte. If we could see an old Sith stronghold.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I don't think so, though.
I agree. It would be awesome. And, people are also speculating maybe we're going to see Octo again, which at least there is maybe some evidence for that. I'm still leaning towards it's probably not Octo, just because I don't want to get my hopes up. Like, I think Star Wars fans tend to jump to conclusions. Mm-hmm. I mean, I did back in The Mandalorian Season 2 when it showed Grogu and Mando on this snowy planet looking off at something, and I was like, are they on Ilum? No, they were just on a snowy planet. Yeah. So I think that is usually the more likely guess. But that planet does look a lot like Octo. And it would be kind of cool if we balanced out, like, the origin of the Jedi with, if not the origin, at least an ancient stronghold of the Sith.
Yeah. I do want to see that. And to be able to see just, like, what the Sith are up to in their neck of the woods would be cool. I just don't know if we're going to see that in this show. It feels like this show is going to be more like this Sith character is living amongst you. It's like right under your noses.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes it a little more interesting that he's getting away, he, she, they is getting away with just living
they're not
that close to the
hiding on
Jedi
Exegol
already.
They're not hiding on Korriban or Moraband or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They're right there. Khmer, maybe. Again, that's probably just a red herring of them. Like, look, he said the Sith code. Don't trust him, and I don't. But it's probably just so I'm looking at him and not someone else. I do really, just knowing that Leslie Headland is a fan of the EU, played the tabletop role-playing game and all this stuff, I do hope that she pulls some stuff in, like, I don't know, Khmer is supposed to have this unique collection of weird stuff, and I'm like, if he had a Sith holocron, it sure would be cool to have him pop it open, or someone, and see an old Sith Lord. Like, I don't necessarily think the Sith with the red lightsaber in the trailer is someone we know, but there's still potential that we could, like, see or hear from Darth Bane or Revan or something.
That would be really neat to see. And like you said about Leslie Headland, especially the fact that she has said multiple times that she played like Star Wars RPG games, that makes me really happy to hear, because that means she's already had experience with being really seeped into the Star Wars universe and telling her own stories, making up her own headcanon, making up her own characters, stuff like that. So just knowing that she has experience with all of that makes me like really excited and feel like she's got this.
Yeah. The RPG element, like storytelling in that way, I'm fairly new to it still, but I love it, and I'm very curious to see how it has affected her as a storyteller. Moving away from the Acolyte, we have two little news stories that we wanted to catch up on. First, The Hollywood Reporter is saying that Sigourney Weaver is going to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Well, they say she's in talks, so I don't think it is a done deal yet, but it's possible that Sigourney Weaver might be in the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Love it.
Thoughts? Okay.
Love her. Love the idea of her being involved in this story. I saw someone or heard someone say that, like, yeah, she was in the Avatar movies, so it makes sense that Disney would just be like, hey, do you want to do this too? So
it also just seems like something Favreau would do. You know, he's done a lot of, I don't know if you'd call it stunt casting, but, you know, just like Christopher Lloyd is playing this random security officer, and we've had a lot of like comedians and Amy Sedaris and just a bunch of people coming in, Brian Posehn randomly, to play these off-the-wall characters. So Sigourney Weaver feels like a natural evolution of that. I tend to not want like super famous people in Star Wars. Like if Tom Cruise were in Star Wars, I think it would feel weird. But Sigourney Weaver, I'm like, I can get behind that just because of, you know, her history in the Alien franchise and Avatar and just Ghostbusters. She's in so many great sci-fi fantasy stories.
Yeah. And because this is a movie and not a show, it has potential for whatever character she might play, the character could be a lot more centralized to the story. Whereas like in the Mandalorian show, you have characters like Jack Black, Brian Posehn, like they just show up and then they're gone. Christopher Lloyd was in one episode and then he was gone. So like their characters are just in and out quickly, but because it's a movie.
I think that's a great point. I hadn't considered that. You know, I wasn't going to dive into who do you think she's playing, because I think the answer is probably a new character. And
Mara Jade, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
We all know.
That would be wild. But like to keep with the heir to the Empire thing, I remember when Christopher Lloyd was announced as part of the cast, everyone was like, Jorah Sabayoth? And like, no, just some random security dude on some random planet.
Just because he's an old white man with white hair.
And he had no hair. No hair, no beard. Just Christopher Lloyd. But yeah, I think that you're right that Sigourney Weaver has a chance to have a far more prominent role in this like 2-ish hour story versus if she were to pop into an episode for 30 minutes. I think that's a good point. And our last little news story, still sticking with the Mandoverse, comes from Ahmed Best, who simply said that he wants to play like a John Wick version of Keller and Beck as a Jedi in Star Wars. And I'm all for that.
Oh, I'm not one to be like, yeah, let's see more Order 66 stuff. But if we see...
It's just 2 hours of him tearing through clone troopers.
If we see Keller and Beck, like, from start to finish, him once Order 66, like, right before when it happens, and then just how he gets out of there and where he takes Grogu, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I do think it would be interesting to balance. John Wick is known for its extreme violence. And I don't really think Ahmed Best means like, yeah, I just want to be cutting heads off for 2 hours straight. I think he just wants a chance to show off more of his skills. Like, he's a very talented martial artist. And yeah, I was so thrilled in The Mandalorian when he was the sabered hand in the Jedi Temple Challenge. And that was kind of a joke throughout that little kid series, that he'd be like, they called me the saber hand. And the droid would be like, please stop telling me that.
Yeah.
But then to see him with lightsabers, and I'm like, oh, he really earned that title. Like, I loved that. So to let him just go fully martial artist throughout the Star Wars galaxy, not necessarily killing every single person he comes across like John Wick might, but just something where we got like cool choreography, I think would be fun.
It'd be perfect if this were set in a time where there were just a lot of droids, because like killing droids, decapitating droids, that we
seems
saw
more acceptable.
That we saw a lot of, so you could do that.
Sure. So it could be set during the Clone Wars. Honestly, like you talking about Order 66, I'm like, hey, that's a fight to survive. That's different.
And especially if he's protecting Grogu,
exactly.
Come on.
You're basically trading the puppy out for Grogu in John Wick.
But the puppy...
Well, okay, so, but like, maybe Grogu gets captured by the Empire and they're going to take him to Tantus. And before he gets to Tantus, he has to save Grogu.
Yeah. Then, do anything.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Go full dark side. I mean, that could be kind of an interesting exploration of what does a Jedi do in this time period when it is a fight for your life or a fight to save someone else's life. How do you go through that and not lose yourself?
Yeah.
How does Keller and Beck do that?
What if Mace Windu is like, hey, we need someone assassinated? Because that Dark Disciple, he's like, you know what? Let's just assassinate Dooku. Let's get it over with.
Let's try again.
Yeah.
And that's Keller and Beck's mission. Yeah, to be clear, I don't really think this project is likely to happen. I love that Ahmed Best is just putting it out into the universe.
Yeah, I mean, that is a statement that, of course, would be cool to do and cool to see, but I think it's a pipe dream.
Right. And I don't even know what the original question was. The interviewer may have just been like, what would be your pie-in-the-sky Star Wars dream?
Yeah.
And he said, like, this would be my dream.
Maybe he meant for Darth Jar Jar to be the John Wick character. And
see, listen, I think that we should get Keller and Beck working alongside Jar Jar to save Grogu.
It just makes sense.
I talked about, I was on the Sith list this past week. If you want to check that out, I was on that podcast. It was a lot of fun, but we did talk about this news story. And just the idea of Ahmed Best playing Keller and Beck, kind of like the Mace Windu, the way he was in the Jar Jar Binks arc of the Clone Wars, where it's just this kind of odd couple buddy cop movie, but it's all Ahmed Best, and so he's like annoyed with Jar Jar.
Yeah.
But Jar Jar is also trying his best to help, and it's just Ahmed Best playing like the coolest version of himself and the goofiest version of himself.
What an incredible like one-man show that could be.
Yeah, let's just put this on stage.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have for today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.